Hey, this is a follow-up to a video I did a while back about how to put a Burly style Sissy bar on a Dyna. I have it all on there. I wish I could redo it and show the installation step by step, but I'm just going to walk through the steps here after the fact. So the first thing is, here's the old bar, and I guess it's a stock bar, and the old turn signals. And at the time, my problem was that I didn't want to have to go through relocating these signals or losing the mounts or whatever. And then after thinking about it for a while, I learned about integrated taillights. And disclaimer up front, I don't know if these things are legal in your state or your area, so I'm not telling anyone to do this. This is just what I decided to do, and it was the solution for having this style Sissy bar on this bike and dealing with, I'll just say, incompatible turn signals and mounts. So I got this bar from an eBay vendor. I don't think it was directly from Burly, so I don't want to say anything about Burly, but the parts that I got with the bar, meaning the bolts, were incorrect, and I had to go to Home Depot and get correct bolts in order to make it work. So another thing is, I put this integrated turn signal tail light on after I installed the bar. But if anyone chooses to do this, and again, I'm not telling anyone what to do, but if you want to make it just sort of easier all in one project, you could do the tail light installation first, or whatever. If you decide to go with anything back here to replace the stock tail light, do that first. So I'll describe the steps sort of as if I did that. And by the way, if you want to use tape to protect this, I didn't do that, and I didn't scratch the bike or anything. First thing you want to do is get rid of the old tail light. So unscrew the screws on either side. The whole assembly will hang down, and then there's going to be the wires, the left signal, the right signal, and the main, I guess, unit to the tail light. You're going to unplug those, and then you're going to go at undoing the support struts on the stock bar. So at this point, you want to lift the bike up, not too much, just enough to get the fender raised up off the back tire a bit. And you're basically going to get up underneath the fender, and you're probably going to need a flashlight if you don't have good lighting. And this bolt right here, which will be coming from the inside, you're going to undo with, I think it's a 1/2 inch, undo that and get that out. And that will basically free up, since you've already unplugged this cable, that will free up this entire turn signal to just pull out through, the two holes. There's the hole for the bolt, and then the hole for the wiring to come out. And then repeat that. Do that on both sides, right signal, left signal. And I stuffed a towel up under the fender and on top of the tire, because that's important for some steps down the road where you're gonna get the shocks off. And then you're gonna go at the front stock Sissy bar mount or strut mount or whatever it's called. And for that, I used, I think you can see that, a T45. So that's what that looks like. And so right and left. And at this point, you are almost ready to take off this piece here, but you need to remove the top shock covers. So this is where you want to lower the bike back down off of the lift. And I think I did this with a 19, and this is a T50 I left it in there for you guys to see. So I don't know if those parts are exactly, those tools are exactly correct for any of this. People are probably going to tear me up for the tools I was using, but that's what I used. So top and bottom, get those off and remove the shock, and remove this, and then same thing on the left side. And then at that point, there's a part that I'm not going to be able to show. Maybe I can show a picture. It's inside. It's I don't know, maybe whatever the distance is here. It's just a very simple support bracket, and it sort of pokes through. You can just take that out, and in fact, you might be able to take that out earlier. So once you get the right shock off, the left shock off, and get these strut mounts off, you get those inner support brackets out, then you can basically redo those steps. So get all those pieces back on, the inner support bracket, the cover, put the shocks back on, and then at that point, you're basically looking at putting on the bar with the hardware. Now here's where I had to go get some parts from Home Depot. Now again, I'm not saying Burly does this, but I got it from an eBay vendor. The parts I got were, of course, these turn signal mounts, which I decided not to use. I don't like the way they look, and they didn't seem to be drilled correctly. So never mind about those. But the bolts that I got were all like this. These are 3/8 inch. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. The problem is, these work in the front. They do not work in the back. And it has to do with, I suppose, that inner support bracket, which is on the inside of the fender with two sort of receiving holes poking through. The front one, like I say, fits this. The front one is threaded. That part will work right away. The back one, it's not threaded, and it's also smaller. I had to get a similar version of this bolt right here. I went to Home Depot. That's shorter. So, you know, this is long because it has to, in the stock configuration, reach far enough to grab onto that turn signal and fasten that down. In this new configuration, you need the same sort of bolt, because you have to do basically the same thing, but there's not as much coming out from the bike here because you don't have this long turn signal mount. So the stock ones, I believe, are 3 inches. I went to Home Depot. I got the 2-inch version of this. So it's not threaded. I don't know, for about the first inch, and then threaded the rest of the way. And that is what is on the inside here. So at this point, back to our steps. You have these on. You have the inner support brackets on. The bar is on there waiting for you to put these bolts in one at a time. And that is the bolt. The 2-inch version of this bolt is what I used here. And I also got acorn nuts. Some people might not like the way that looks, but it worked for me. It looked finished. So use washers, you know, wherever they were before. Put the bar on, all 4 points. I think I did the front first. I think I put this one in and did the fronts, and then I did the, you know, the backs from the inside, and then you're ready to go. And also, whatever your choice of Loctite is, just do whatever your favorite Harley tech recommends. And at this point, if I had the tail light, that's what I'd be putting on next. So, you know, the wires for these turn signals don't come into play anymore. And then the new light has 3 plugs. One to plug in for the brake, and then it's got 2 smaller cables to plug in for the left and right turn signals. And that was plug and play. I read everywhere that I was going to need possibly a load equalizer to get the turn signals to flash correctly, and that I would have problems if I didn't use one. Well, I just tried it without any load equalizer, and it worked the way it was supposed to. And then, you know, you're ready to torque things down to the right specs and check all around, and you know, make sure the bike's ready for riding again. And that's basically it. So for Dynas, if you're going to put this bar on and you have the stock turn signals, you're going to be looking at some other sort of configuration. Up to you, whatever you want to do with signals, obviously. But that is how I did that, and hopefully those steps sort of help walk you through. All right.